Rosie, I'm doing a variation of a vanilla slice. Instead of using puff pastry, where you press it between a couple of trays and bake it to cook the pastry and then make the custard and assemble the whole thing, I'm going to make it with Kataifi Pastry, which is one of my new favourite pastries in the entire world. Kataifi Pastry, it's great pastry to use. You think it might be shredded phyllo pastry. It is not. It's like a pancake batter. They run it out onto a big dish. It cooks itself, and it always comes apart like this.
Yeah,
you've used it a few times, haven't you? It's almost like a Santa's beard, or you can give it to the kids to wear like a wig. But it's a great pastry, and one of the things you want to do, if you do have it frozen, take it out of the fridge, put it on the bench for at least 2 or 3 hours to come up to room temperature. If it's in the fridge, take it out of the fridge and let it sit on the bench for half an hour or so to come up to room temperature. And that way, it just falls apart nice and easily, doesn't
lovely.
it? It's great to use. Now, the trick is you want to have it at room temperature so you can pull it apart. And when you pull it apart like this, it becomes nice and flaky.
You can pull this apart all day.
It's just one of those things. Sit in front of the TV, put this on your lap and then watch The Bold and the Beautiful or some other great daytime TV show, maybe a cooking show, you never know. Now, what I'm going to do is, you're going to have to be careful here, Rosie, so I'm going to get the scissors. You could, of course, pop this onto the bench and cut it up with a knife, but I find the scissors are the best way to cut it up. Now, you can keep cutting into that. Now, while you're cutting that, I'm going to put some sugar with the Kataifi, because what I'm going to do with the Kataifi is put it on the bottom of the tray and then bake it, and then we're going to make the custard, pop that on the top of it, put some more Kataifi on the top of it, and then back into the oven to be nice and golden.
I'm excited. I adore custard.
Oh, it's a fantastic, simple dish. And as you can see, there's only a few ingredients on the bench here. Now, while you're cutting that, I'm going to add some sugar. And you can see I'm not using any regular sugar. I'm using coconut sugar.
It's my sugar.
It's great sugar. I love using it.
Cupboard.
Well, it's got a great flavour to it.
Yeah, it's got great flavour.
And because it's brown, it's wholemeal, and it's very, very good for you. There we go.
That's it.
Now, what I'm going to do is sprinkle that onto the Kataifi. Keep cutting away, because as you cut it, the sugar will go all the way through it. And I just want to sweeten it up a little bit. It's a sweet pastry we're making on the bottom of our slice, our dessert. So we want to make sure it's got a bit of sweetness with it as well. Now, while you're doing that, I reckon you've got most of it cut up. There might be a couple of little snips you'll get in there. I'm going to pour some butter on it. With Kataifi, it's very similar to phyllo. You need the butter or a little bit of oil. It fries the pastry, and that's what makes it crisp, and that's what cooks it all the way through. So what I'm going to do, Rosie, is pour some butter over the top of this, just very carefully. This is melted butter, about 150 grams of butter that I've melted. And I'm just going to take over from you, because this is the fun part for me.
Rubbing. Get your hands in.
I'm going to get the butter into the pastry and mix it all together. And you can see it's all nice, tiny little pieces there. Now, if you can grab that white tray over there, Rosie, pull that in and pop it down next to us. Now, remember, half of this is going on the bottom and the other half is going on the top. And the beauty of the Kataifi, when it sits on the top of it, it goes nice and golden and flaky and delicious. And what I'll do is I'll spread that on the bottom there. And Rosie, you can help me just push it into the side so we've got a thin layer. Now, of course, if you wanted to, you could put some baking paper on the bottom. Makes it a bit easier to take out, but we're just going to throw it in the bottom here and make it nice and tasty. Now, I'll just put some in and fill in the little holes to make sure that we've got everything covered on the bottom. And then what we need to do is I'll push that down with my hands, because they're really oily. I'll push it all the way down to make sure it's locked into position. Now, Rosie, you're going to pick that up and you're going to pop that into the oven, which is set at 180 degrees Celsius. It'll take about 10 to 15 minutes. You'll know it's cooked because it'll be golden and it'll be nice and crisp. We'll take it out. We'll have our custard ready made for it. It will be fantastic. Now, Rosie, while the Kataifi's in the oven, crisping up till it's nice and golden, it's going to be almost delicious straight out of the oven. It's going to have sugar on it. It's going to be crispy and buttery, but we're not going to leave it there. We're going to make a custard that goes on top of it. Now, I've got some beautiful eggs there. What I want you to do, Rosie, separate 8 eggs for me, Rosie, and then in my pot here, I've got it on a low heat. I've got 350 mils of moo cow's milk. In goes half a cup of custard sugar, and I've got 400 mils of pure cream going in here. I love pure cream. It's nice and thick. Lots of fat in it, which makes it more luscious and good. That. There we go. In it goes into the pot here. And what I'm going to do is warm up the milk, cream, sugar and eggs with a little bit of butter. And the butter just makes it nice and luscious and delicious.
I knew it would be involved somehow.
It's beautiful, isn't it? Butter is what brings it all together. Now, what you're doing is separating the eggs from the yolks. We're going to get the yolks, put in half a cup of corn flour, 2 tablespoons of vanilla extract to get that real vanilla flavour, and we're going to add a little bit of water to it just to thin it down. Once the cream, milk, sugar and butter has come just up to the boil, we'll stir in the egg yolks and the corn flour, stir it round over the that heat until it thickens up, and then we'll put it all together. Okay, Rosie, you can see it's thickened up beautifully.
It really has.
Now what I'm going to do is pour this over the top here nice and evenly. Over the top, there we go, look at that.
Delicious.
Spoon that on there. A little bit of a tap like that, and then all I need to do is just with a spatula, just go around the outside to make sure I get all the little bits off the top of it, and just spoon it out to the sides.
That smells a bit like childhood. We used to have custard with our crumble.
Oh, does smell good. Now, I'm going to get you to give me a hand, Rosie.
Yep.
We're just going to sprinkle this over the top here.
You got it.
Just like that, just to make it nice and crumbly and crunchy over the top. So we've got our lovely slice with a crunchy top and a crunchy bottom. Spread it out nice and evenly. It's lovely to have sugar and butter on your hands. There we go. And we'll try and get it nice and evenly all over the top of it. There we go. Fill in the little holes. Then all we need to do, Rosie, is pop this back into the oven. It'll take about 15 to 20 minutes.
Yep.
It'll firm up the custard. It'll be crispy on the top. Into the oven we go. There you go, Rosie.
Looks great.
Now, it's a little bit warm. I should let it cool down a bit, but, you know, a bit of icing sugar on top just to make it even more luscious and
This could
delicious.
feed quite a few, though, huh?
That's the idea of a slice. It's something you make en masse in a large slab like this and then feed a lot of people.
Tell people you love them.
Here we go. I'm just going to cut that through like that, and then you can see how crunchy that pastry is. My goodness. So it is quite warm. I should let it cool down a bit more, but I'm just going to hook straight into it. There we go. A nice big spoon of it. So we want to see that crunchy pastry. Look at that. Beautiful. It is a little bit warm. It is a bit cheeky.
Lovely.
A bit naughty to be eating it now, but you can see it looks great.
It looks really, really good.
The
Oh, no,
crunchy-
I love custard, so this is going to be brilliant.
A little bit of creme fraiche with it. It's almost as big as the slice itself. I'm almost making a dessert out of it. And this is the thing, you can make a dessert out of this or a slice that you can take to someone's house, a little bit more icing sugar on it. And
I'm ready to go.
I'm teasing you, aren't I? You're ready to go with
Ready
a
to
spoon.
go.
And I'm mucking around. Get into it, and I want you to see how nice the custard is. That's the bit we like, and also the crispiness of the Kataifi.
All right.
Oh, look at that, nice and custardy. And I'm just going to have a little crunch of that one. It looks great. You can really smell that vanilla as well, nice and strong. It's good.
Adrian Richardson.
It's really delicious.
And I actually really love that pastry is just divine through it. It's just not too much, but it's a lovely little kind of surprise every so often, cuts through that custard deliciously. Oh, I want to go in for more.
It works really well. All we used was a bit of sugar and a little bit of butter, cut it up with some scissors, and there you go. You could do a lot more with it and a lot less, but I think we've done a great job with it here.
Perfect.